Before we begin, I want to welcome you to our channel. For those who are new here, our mission is to share genuine Christian testimonies from around the world, spreading the powerful message of God's kingdom. We focus on stories about Jesus, the afterlife, heaven and hell, and other Bible-related topics, bringing them to you in engaging story form twice or 3 times a week. We invite you to become a member of this family by subscribing to our channel. God bless you as you do so. Today's experience was sent to us by Sister Jalu. She was shown hell and people punished for tattooing. Stay with us till the end to fully understand her experience. I will begin reading as sent to us. Being the youngest of my 4 siblings, my early childhood was a whirlwind of activity, adventure, and plenty of mischief. My 3 older brothers were a force to be reckoned with, constantly roughhousing, testing boundaries, and dragging me into their schemes, whether I was ready for it or not. I distinctly remember tagging along as they explored the neighborhood, climbed trees, and engaged in all sorts of daring feats that had my parents constantly on edge. My parents seemed to take a more relaxed approach with me. Perhaps it was because I was the last child, or maybe they had simply learned to pick their battles after dealing with my siblings' antics for so many years. Regardless, I often found myself getting away with things that my brothers never could. Whether it was staying up past my bedtime, sneaking extra helpings of dessert, or avoiding dreaded chores, my parents seemed to turn a blind eye more often than not. Of course, I reveled in this special treatment, pushing the boundaries as far as I could without truly getting into trouble. This lenient parenting style had its pros and cons. On the one hand, I felt a sense of freedom and independence that my siblings didn't necessarily enjoy. I could explore my curiosities and interests without too much interference. But on the other hand, I sometimes wondered if I was missing out on the structure and discipline that my brothers seemed to thrive under. As I grew older, I noticed I had passion for music, and I resolved to becoming a musician, rather than the initial pilot I have always wanted to be. One sunny summer day, and I had prepared to go for a music festival. It was in full swing. I had been looking forward to this event for weeks, and I was determined to make the most of it. As I was dancing to my favorite band, I accidentally bumped into a stranger, spilling my drink all over his shirt. I was mortified, but the stranger just laughed and introduced himself as Charles. We struck up a conversation, and I was drawn to his warm smile and infectious enthusiasm. We talked for hours, discovering a shared love for music, adventure, and life. As the festival came to a close, Charles and I exchanged numbers, and I didn't think much of it. But over the next few weeks, we kept in touch, meeting up for coffee and exploring the city together. Our friendship grew stronger with each passing day, and I found myself opening up to Charles in ways I never thought possible. We shared our deepest fears, our wildest dreams, and our darkest secrets. Charles became more than just a friend. He became a brother, a confidant, and a partner in crime. We went on road trips, tried new foods, and supported each other through thick and thin. We laughed together until our sides hurt, and we cried together until our hearts healed. As the months turned into years, our bond only grew stronger. We became each other's rock, each other's safe haven. We celebrated each other's triumphs and lifted each other up during times of struggle. I realized that the music festival, where we first met, was just the beginning of an incredible journey. A journey of friendship, of growth, of exploration, and of discovery. Charles had become more than just a friend. He had become a part of me, and I knew that no matter where life took us, our friendship would remain unbreakable, a testament to the power of connection and the beauty of shared experience. As our friendship grew stronger, Charles and I discovered a shared passion for music. We started composing songs together, blending our styles and creativity. We were excited to share our music with the world, and we decided to release our songs. We poured our hearts and souls into our music, writing about our experiences, hopes, and dreams. We recorded our songs in a small studio, and we were thrilled with the result. But despite our enthusiasm, our music didn't quite resonate with the audience. We released song after song, but they didn't gain much traction. We faced rejection and disappointment, and we began to doubt our abilities. We wondered if our music was good enough, if we were talented enough, or if we were just delusional. We faced criticism and negativity, and it was hard to keep going. But we didn't give up. We kept composing, kept recording, and kept believing in our music. We played gigs at local bars and clubs, and we slowly built a small following. Though our music didn't sell, we didn't lose sight of why we started making music in the first place, for the love of it. We continued to create, to express ourselves, and to enjoy the process. And even though we didn't achieve commercial success, our music brought us closer together, and it became a bigger part of our friendship. We learned to appreciate the journey, not just the fame. As Charles and I continued to struggle to make a name for ourselves in the music industry, we began to feel the pressure to conform to the worldly standards of success. We looked around at the popular artists and saw how they presented themselves, the way they dressed, the tattoos, the piercings. We thought to ourselves, maybe if we look like them, sound like them, and act like them, we'll finally get the validation we're seeking. So, we made a conscious decision to compromise our values and follow the worldly pattern of music. We started dressing in a way that was more provocative, more edgy. We got tattoos and piercings, trying to fit in with the crowd. We changed our music style to something more commercial, more radio-friendly. First, it seemed like our plan was working. We started to get more attention, more gigs, and more fans. But as we continued down this path, we began to lose ourselves in the process. We felt like we were selling out, like we were sacrificing our art and our values for the sake of fame. We looked in the mirror and barely recognized ourselves. We had become shadows of our former selves, trying to fit into a mold that wasn't authentic to us. We realized that we had made a mistake, that we had compromised too much. I had it all: fame, fortune, and a thriving music career. But behind the scenes, I was struggling with addiction and a desire for more. I got involved in drug deals to fuel my habit and make extra cash. One fateful night, I died during one of these deals. I remember feeling a sense of relief wash over me as my life slipped away. But little did I know, my journey was far from over. As I stood before God, I expected judgment, but instead, He took me on a journey to hell. I saw people I knew, people I had influenced, being punished for their sins. And then I saw them, people being tormented because of their tattoos, piercings, and other forms of self-mutilation. I was shocked, confused, and scared. I didn't understand why these things, which I had once seen as harmless, were now bringing such suffering. God explained that these actions were a form of rebellion against Him, a rejection of His perfect design. As I watched, a man was tormented by the very tattoos he had once proudly worn. A woman was punished for the piercings she had seen as a form of self-expression. I saw the pain, the regret, and the longing for a second chance. God showed me that these things, which I had once seen as trivial, had eternal consequences. I realized that I had been wrong, that I had led others astray with my actions and my music. As I stood before God, I knew I had a choice to make. I could continue down the path I was on, or I could turn back to Him. I chose the latter. God gave me a second chance, bringing me back to life and giving me a new purpose. I vowed to use my platform to spread a different message, one of hope, redemption, and the true love of God. I returned to the world, forever changed by what I had seen. I used my music to share my story, to warn others of the dangers of rebellion and the beauty of God's design. I became a voice for the voiceless, a beacon of hope in a world gone mad. As I returned from my journey to hell, I was a changed person. I had seen the error of my ways, and I had found a new purpose in life. But not everyone was happy about my transformation. Charles, my friend and music partner, couldn't understand why I was so adamant about changing our music and our message. He thought I was being too radical, too extreme. He wanted to continue making the same kind of music we had always made. But I knew I couldn't. I tried to explain to him what I had seen, what I had experienced. I tried to tell him about the people I had seen in hell, punished for their rebellion against God. But he just wouldn't listen. We started to drift apart, Charles and I. We would argue about our music, about our message, about our purpose. I knew I couldn't continue down the same path, but he didn't want to change. Eventually, we made the difficult decision to go our separate ways. It was hard because we had been through so much together, but I knew it was necessary. I couldn't continue to make music that contradicted my newfound beliefs. I couldn't continue to lead people astray, even if it was unintentional. I had to follow my conscience, no matter how difficult it was. Charles and I parted ways, but I'll always cherish the memories we made together. I'll always be grateful for the journey we shared, even if it was flawed, and I'll always hope that one day, he'll see the truth, and we can be reunited in our purpose. I remember praying fervently for Charles, asking God to show him the same encounter that I had experienced. I wanted him to see the truth, to understand the error of our ways, and to find the same redemption that I had found. At first, it seemed like my prayers were going unanswered. Charles continued down the same path, further and further away from God. But I didn't give up. I kept praying, kept believing, and kept trusting that God would answer my prayers. And then, one day, it happened. Charles came to me, shaken and changed. He told me that he had experienced the same encounter that I had, that God had shown him the depths of hell and the reality of his judgment. He was broken, humbled, and transformed. He saw the world in a different light, and he knew that he couldn't continue living the way he had been. He turned to God, repented of his sins, and began a new journey of faith. I was overjoyed, relieved, and grateful. My prayers had been answered, and my friend had been saved. We were reunited in our purpose, and we began to make music that reflected our newfound faith. Charles's transformation was remarkable. He was no longer the same person, and his music reflected the change in his heart. We collaborated on new projects, and our music became a testament to God's power and redemption. I learned that God answers prayers, even when we least expect it. I learned that He can change hearts, transform lives, and redeem even the darkest of pasts. And I learned that with faith, perseverance, and prayer, anything is possible. Years had passed since my journey to hell and back. I had rebuilt my life, my music, and my message. Charles, my friend and partner in music, had been by my side every step of the way. We had been through so much together, and I couldn't imagine a life without him. But one fateful day, tragedy struck. Charles was involved in a car accident, and he didn't survive. I was devastated. The news hit me like a ton of bricks, and I felt like my world was crumbling around me. I remember feeling numb, like I was in a dream. I couldn't believe that my friend, my brother, was gone. I kept thinking that he would show up, that it was all just a cruel joke. But as the reality set in, I was consumed by grief. I felt lost, alone, and broken. I didn't know how to go on without Charles. We had shared so much, and I couldn't imagine continuing without him by my side. But as I looked back on our journey, I remembered the lessons we had learned together. I remembered the second chance I had been given, and the purpose that God had given me. I knew that I couldn't give up, not now, not ever. So I continued. I kept making music, kept sharing my message, and kept honoring Charles's memory. It wasn't easy, but I knew that it's what he would have wanted me to do. I still miss him every day, but I know that he's in a better place. I know that he's watching over me, cheering me on, and urging me to keep going. And so I will. I'll keep going, for Charles, for myself, and for the message that we shared with the world. In the end, I knew that Charles's death was not an end, but a new beginning. He was now in eternity, and I would see him again someday. And that thought gave me the strength to keep going, to keep making music, and to keep sharing the message of hope and redemption that Charles and I had discovered together. One night, as I was praying and reflecting on our journey together, I had a vivid vision. I saw Charles standing in front of me, but he wasn't on earth. He was in heaven. I saw him in a place of breathtaking beauty, surrounded by a radiant light that seemed to shine from within. He was smiling, and his eyes sparkled with a joy I had never seen before. He looked at me, and I felt his peace and happiness wash over me. God spoke to me in that moment, saying, "Charles is home and he's at peace." I felt a sense of reassurance, knowing that my friend was exactly where he was meant to be. In the vision, Charles began to show me around heaven. I saw the most incredible sights: streets of gold, mansions, and gardens filled with flowers that shone like diamonds. I saw people from all nations and ages, worshiping and rejoicing together. Charles took me to a place where music filled the air. I saw angels playing instruments, and people singing with voices that sounded like nothing I had ever heard before. Charles joined in, and his voice blended with the others in perfect harmony. I realized that Charles was no longer limited by his earthly body. He was free to worship and express himself in ways he never could before. I felt a sense of awe and wonder, knowing that this was what awaited me too. The vision faded, but the memory of it has stayed with me. I know that Charles is in a place of unimaginable beauty and joy, and that gives me the strength to keep going. I know that I'll see him again someday, and we'll make music together in heaven. As I look back on our journey, I am reminded of God's faithfulness and redemption. Charles and I were lost, but God found us. We were broken, but God healed us. We were bound for hell, but God saved us. If you are struggling with the same temptations and doubts that Charles and I faced, I want you to know that there is hope. God is real, and He is waiting for you to turn to Him. Here's a prayer for you. Dear God, I come to you with a humble heart, seeking your redemption and forgiveness. I know that I have fallen short, that I have rebelled against you and pursued my own path. But I want to turn back to you now. I want to surrender my life to you, to follow your ways and to seek your truth. Please forgive me for my sins and wash me clean in your blood. Give me a new heart, a heart that seeks you above all else. Help me to see the world through your eyes, to love what you love, and to hate what you hate. Use me for your glory, that I might be a light in the darkness and a beacon of hope to those around me. Thank you for your love, your mercy, and your grace. I receive them all in Jesus' name. Amen. May this prayer be a blessing to all who read it, and may God's redemption and forgiveness be yours today. All right, friends, thank you for staying to the end. Kindly like and share this video with your friends and family. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, kindly do so to get updated whenever we share experiences sent to us. Till next time, remain blessed